Joe Feagin developed a theory known as systemic racism. According to Feagin, in order to explain systemic racism, we must look at racial oppression in a historical context. Since the early years of the United States, there has been a clear contrast between African Americans and white Europeans, which allowed for the latter to establish themselves as the elite group. Systemic racism as a form of oppression has been implemented within society's institutions, for instance, through our government and education system. One example is the government's passing of the Homestead Act benefited white Americans and excluded African Americans. The Homestead Act gave land that was taken away from Native Americans to white American males. White Americans were able to accumulate wealth and pass down their resources to future generations. The passing down of accumulated wealth has benefited white Americans and impoverished people of color. Today we can see how systemic racism has manifested itself in different communities. Communities heavily populated by people of color continue to be affected by poverty. The area known as South Central Los Angeles is predominantly African American and Latino. The condition of this community affects the education of children in these schools. These schools are close to liquor stores and fast food restaurants. This does not happen by accident. Students in South Central are affected by the presence of liquor stores near their schools. This sends the wrong message. This encourages students to drink at a young age, further affecting their education and thus continuing the impoverishment of black and brown communities. Schools in South Central are also within close proximity to homeless people. When driving around this area of Los Angeles, buildings are tagged, the streets are filled with trash, and homeless people have built homes out of cardboard boxes. In contrast to Los Angeles, while driving around Beverly Hills, streets are cleaner, the grass is greener, and the overall feel is welcoming and safe. It is a common assumption that people living in Beverly Hills have earned this quality of life because of their hard work, yet people in South Central work just as hard but don't have access to the same resources. When looking at a more affluent community such as Beverly Hills, the education system is of higher quality when compared to South Central's education system. The first obvious distinction is the physical appearance of the schools. Outside of Manual Arts, one of the most notorious high schools in Los Angeles, it is evident that the school imitates the layout and exterior of a prison rather than a place of learning. It is noticeable that its very tall bars are put up in order to keep the students from ditching school. This presentation assumes that the students who attend Manual Arts are delinquents. It can make students feel that nothing good is expected from them, which therefore fulfills the stereotypes associated with their surroundings. Manual Arts is composed of 97% of minorities, while Beverly Hills Unified School District is composed of 76.3% of white students. It is evident from viewing Beverly Hills High School from the outside that it gives a sense of freedom due to the lack of any tall bars or restrictions. Rather, it is a very open campus, letting students choose freely on making decisions. This gives students a sense of superiority and responsibility over their decisions. This campus also offers a lot of greenery and makes students feel welcome to their high school. This positive and beautiful environment encourages students to perform well in their studies. The differentiated supply of resources is also very distinct between schools like Manual Arts, which is located in an area with high poverty and crime rates, and schools in Beverly Hills Unified School District. In 2003-2004 school year, Beverly Hills Unified had a total of 10 dropouts, while the Los Angeles Unified School District had an astonishing 15,919 dropouts in just that 1 year. In an era of color blindness, we can clearly see that racism still exists in our institutions. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we should accept it. We should come together, no matter your race, class, or gender, so that we can create equality for all. In the words of Fred Hampton, we're going to fight racism, not with racism, but we're going to fight with solidarity.